Before we dive in how to use Power Query, I want to explain what is Power Query. It is a business intelligence tool available in Excel that allows you to import data from many different sources and then clean, transform, and reshape your data as needed. It can import and clean millions of rows into the data model for analysis after. It is a data connection technology that enables you to discover, connect, combine, and refine data sources to meet your analysis needs. What does Power Query do? It does extract, transform, and load. Data can be extracted from a variety of sources, such as databases, CSV files, text files, Excel workbooks, specific cells on the same worksheet, websites, and even some PDFs. Basically, if there is data stored somewhere in a structured or semi-structured format, Power Query can get to it and pull it out. Once the data has been extracted in the previous step, it is used to make it ready for use. It can be cleaned up, such as remove spaces, split columns, change date formats, fill blanks, find and replace, and others. When data is extracted from different sources, it is unlikely to be consistent, and transform processes is used to make it ready for use. Once the data has been extracted and transformed, it needs to be put somewhere so that you can use it. From Excel perspective, it can be pushed into a worksheet, a data model, or any other query. To summarize, Power Query takes data from different sources and turns it into something which can be used. Our goal for this tutorial will be clean data. So when we say clean data, we're going to remove spaces and split the data into different columns. After that, we're going to make pivot table to have better analysis of our data. Third, we're going to have cleaning data and pivot table updates when source data changes. In this tutorial, we're going to see how amazing Power Query is in automating updates. And last, we're going to insert pivot chart to have better analysis of our data. In this tutorial, we will have this raw data and we're going to make it as a table to organize and analyze related data. And we're going to split these columns into different columns through Power Query. And when we will have our proper data set, we're going to create a pivot table, and from this pivot table, we're going to create a pivot chart. Based from our raw data, product, date, and region are placed in one cell. We need to break it apart into 3 different columns. This is what we call cleaning the data. But before we can use Power Query to clean up the data, we need to convert our raw data into an Excel table. To convert it into a table, click any part of that column, go to Insert tab, and click Table. A dialog box will appear. Make sure all the data are highlighted. And click My Table Has Headers since our table has headers, and click OK. We need to name our table. To name it, go to Design tab, in Properties group, in Table Name, I'm going to name the table as Revenue Table. And click Enter. Now we have converted the raw data into a table and we named it. Our data is now ready for Power Query. Go to Data tab. From Get Transform group, click From Table Range button. The Power Query editor window appeared. Here we have the name of our table and we have 2 applied steps. It created 2 steps, and as we go along with cleaning and transforming, it will build a series of steps that we can look at or edit anytime we want. Step number 2 is change data type. It added a text data type and a whole number data type. Since we're gonna transform this column and change data types anyway, so I'm gonna delete this step. To delete a step, just click the X before that step. I'm gonna clean this column and split this into 3 columns. The character that tells us where to split is what we call delimiter. In this example, the delimiter is 3 characters, a space, slash, and space. Click the column, go to Home tab, in Transform Group, click Split Column, and by Delimiter. Or, right-click the column and select Split Column by Delimiter. A window will appear and it requires us to select the delimiter. Select Custom and type space, / space. Split at each occurrence of the delimiter, then click OK. Now we have 4 columns instead of 2. We have a text data type, a date data type, a text data type, and a whole number data type. I'm gonna rename these columns as product, date, region, and sales. In our steps, it added the source. Earlier, we have split the column by delimiter. It automatically added change type, and we have renamed columns. Now, we're going to change the type of sales into currency. And look at our applied steps. All the activities that we have done are displayed in applied steps. If you want to delete a step, just click the X before that step. If you want to edit a step, just click the gear after that step. We can now load our cleaned data and transform into proper data set. Go to Home tab, in Close Group, select Close and Load To. An Import Data window will appear. Select Table and put the data in a new worksheet. Click OK. Now we have 2 sheets and the second sheet is the proper data set. We're going to insert a pivot table. Click any part of your data set, go to Insert, click Pivot Table. Create Pivot Table window will appear. So make sure all the data are being highlighted. We're going to place our pivot table in existing worksheet. I'm going to select G2 as our location. Click OK. I'm going to add the date in rows. So we have the months April and May. When I click April, we have the dates. And when I click May, we have the dates for May. I'm going to remove the date and change it with product. So when I open April, we have these products. And when I opened May, we have our products. I'm going to drag sales into values. And I'm going to change the number format of sales into currency. Symbol, peso, 2 decimal places. Okay. Drag region into columns. Look at our pivot table. We have a cross-tabular pivot table. An intersecting cell is calculated in the sum total based on 3 conditions. The region is West, the product is Quad, and the month is April. Using the pivot table, we can now have a better analysis of our data. What if you need to update your data for June and July? I'm going to incorporate the new data into our old data. I'm going to go back to Sheet 1. What if this is our new data? Copy. And place it below your old data. Paste. So our new data is incorporated with the old data. What if when you paste your new data, it was not incorporated with your old data such as this one? Click any part of your old data, go to Design, and click Resize Table. Resize Table window will appear. Highlight all your data. and click OK. Now we have updated our table. Let's go back with our sheet 2. To refresh our dataset, all we need to do is to go to Design and click Refresh. Let's check if our dataset is really refreshed. So let's check if we have the values for June and July. So we have the values for June and we have also the values from July. So meaning our dataset is really refreshed. We're going to refresh our pivot table so that the new data from June and July will be displayed in our pivot table. All we need to do is to right-click, select Refresh. So now we have the values for June and the values for July. As you can see, I have the latest record in my pivot table report. Now I'm going to insert a pivot chart. Go to Analyze, then click Pivot Chart. Insert Chart window will appear. Select Column and select Clustered Column. Click OK. So we have here the chart. We have here the sales, the months, and we have the products. We have the regions. So we can filter out this pivot chart. So if you want to specify what product, so example in this case, Aspen. So only Aspen per month will be displayed. In this case, we can be able to analyze better the data. What if you want to change the values found in your pivot chart? What if you want to display all the products for the month of June only? So here it is. In this tutorial, from difficult to analyze data, we have come up into a table. And from this table, we can come up into a data set and we have produced a pivot table and a pivot chart. So now we can be able to analyze the data better. I hope you have learned something today. See you in another tutorial.